to my channel. Good morning, Vlogsters. Look, it's almost gone. It's all gone on this side. Just got a little bit more here. It feels a little loose today, but you know, we'll work on it. So good morning. Ow. My mouth hurts. Ow. Owie, 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 owie. It's good though. So, what do you think? My sister cut it for me and she said, I sent her like a little video how I wanted my hair cut. Now I knew, I guess upon not talking to her about it before, I knew my hair wasn't gonna look like hers. I just wanted that cut so that I could do whatever I wanted with it. But I should have said that before, because she's like, well, your hair won't do that because she's got thicker hair on the top. And I was like, oh no, I know, I just wanted it like that length and that buzzed. So she was, she finger cut it, she didn't buzz it. She said I could buzz it always if it, you know, if you don't end up liking it. But the thing is, it's just too hot on the back of my neck. The sweats are for real. The kidney cancer sweats, the Cabomatics sweats, the menopause sweats, they're for reals. Because, ugh. And I just like, I wake up and my hair is all stuck to the back of my neck. And hey, look, I wore a ponytail or a bun, I don't know, for most of the last 50, 40 years. I need the hair off the back of my neck. I need it off my face and I need it off the back of my neck. So we did this, and obviously I've slept on it, so it's like a bit much, but I was like playing with it last night. I was like, oh, this is cute. We pull it forward. The curls out of it now. I have to work on, you know, oh, it's sort of like stress to your hair, like that you lose its curl, but then the curl will come back because the hair will be like, hey, it's not as long and it's not as heavy, and let's go ahead and start curling again or something. So I don't know how it looks in the thing right now, but I love it. It's kind of cute. At first I was like, it's so much shorter than hers, because hers was like, they cut hers was up here. And that's why I thought I was going to have it. And then I was like, dude, where's my hair? And she's like, well, I want it to be layered so it looks thicker. And I was like, she's so sweet. I don't care about the balding. I know I've told you guys about this 1,000 times before. It is what it is. It is my life, and that's what happens. Every time I look at my bald spot, I think about my Aunt Mary Doolittle, and she was a very sweet lady who I love. She was married to a man named Jerry anyway, so. I actually think in my older days, how, you know, she never had kids, and with the hair loss, I wonder if she also didn't have issues, you know, medical issues that they just didn't recognize back then. So, yeah, it's stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I don't mind. You know, that my cousins used to tease me when I started, my hair started to thin in my 20s, 30s, really thinned kind of early. I just always thought it was because I abused the crap out of it when I was in my early 20s and teens. All of the studio style stiff stuff and combing out all of the curls, and just, I figured I wrecked it. Doing the pretty woman hair toss back and forth for like, you know, 15 good years. Maybe, I don't know. The funny part is how I said I've worn a ponytail or a bun for the last 50 years, but truly, even those times where I would do my hair and I would wear it down like my wedding day is the exclusion. I never put my hair up until I was like after like the honeymoon night or whatever. Or I don't even think I put it up to drive to the hotel. But I think that's like the exclusive one time I kept my hair down the whole time. And in pictures, you could see me sweating profusely. I mean, granted, it was August and I was wearing a medieval style ball gown. But, yep, still. Excuse me. But even like those times, I have pictures where I like did my hair to go out. I always had a scrunchie on my wrist because, you know, half an hour into it, it was going up. Oh, we're going on the dance floor, hair's going up. Like, that's just how it would go. So, yeah. So I just always thought that I beat the crap out of my hair. But obviously now I know, as I'm older, that we have some like metabolic issues in my family, and there's hormonal issues in my family, and all kinds of different things. So, um, yeah, I could see why my aunt would have gone undiagnosed back in like the 20s. I feel like she was born. She died in 86. I think she was born in like 17. I have the number on my family tree. I'd have to look it up, but you know, it's faces like that that I don't have pictures for, and I'm always like, just have to close your eyes and remember her face from memory. But she was my mother's father's sister. My mother's father's sister. She had this little tiny house in Queens, New York. Little tiny house. And in her later years, we used to come all the way from Island Park to go like grocery shopping for her. My cousins also did, you know, because a lot of them worked in Queens, so they would, or went to school and would be able to just get on the highway and go and do stuff. And then once a year in the spring, usually, we would go and do like a big yard clean out. Like she had neighborhood people who would just keep it maintained, but it was that one big first time of the year, like the weeds were overgrown, the hedges were overgrown, the grass is overgrown type situation. We would go, all of my family would just like pile into the van and throw the lawnmower in the back of the car kind of thing and just go, you know. I say van because my mother had a big 13-passenger van for a lot of years. And we used to call it like the blue bus because it was a bus, just that. It was just like the kind we used to use at AHRC at the group homes to hold like, when the group home had like not 8 or 9 people in it, we'd always have a big van to carry everybody and staff going into the city or whatever. It's always good to have a big van. If you were needed to take a group of people on vacation, you needed all their luggage. Like, even though the one group home, we had a big van for a while. The one group home, I think only had 7. I feel like it only had 7 people, and we had a big van because 7 people in a minivan is a little crowded. So if you couldn't fit everybody in one car, then they would give you a second car. But truthfully, you weren't supposed to take 6 individuals with just one staff at the other group homes either. So you really couldn't fit everybody in a minivan. You would have to take 2 cars. So it was kind of like, why doesn't everybody just have a big van? But when we would do those big trips, like I would take the girls to the theater in the city and I would drive. I wouldn't go to the theater. I would just drive the staff and the individuals. And this was a big savings. It was cheaper to pay me, well, I was on salary, so it was cheaper to pay me my hourly rate for the day than it was to park a big van like that in the city and have them take cabs and stuff to like between the different venues. So I didn't end up parking. I would just either drive around or find street parking, or I would go to some place like I knew that had like, where's a good place that always had parking? Where's a good place that always, not in the theater district. I would go far away from the theater district. Like the Port Authority, you know, like you'd go there. That's a good place that you could always find some place to park in that area that has like a few different public parkings. And I'm talking about, you know, not long-term parking. I was standing half the time anyway because I was in the van. I never got out, really. I never had to pee. I'm Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. The I'm Jesus thing was from 27 Dresses I just finished watching for the 7,226th time. But she's like, I have no needs. I'm Jesus. But that was a lot of fun. So on days like that, we would just go to one of the bigger group homes and borrow their van, give them our minivan. So then we would just like, they would take 2 cars if they were doing a big trip with their group for the day. Otherwise, we would just take 2 cars if it was local. You know, whenever we would all go to like a local theater or the movies or out to dinner, we'd always just take 2 cars because it was local. We didn't have to worry about borrowing a van. But when it was a big trip into the city or something. Now, another thing is, even if you parked for the day, we would say, even if you parked for the day, when you take 8 people into the city on public transportation, if you all got on the Long Island Expressway, sure you did. If you all got on the Long Island Railroad, round trip, plus subway, it all ends up being a lot of money. Oh gosh, the first time I took the train to Lynbrook, I was learning. So Long Island Railroad used to stop in Island Park. I don't know if it does anymore. I'm sure it does, but I just meant like I don't know the train routes and bus routes anymore, because upon talking to my sister before my nephew passed away, we realized that the bus routes changed tremendously after the flood. So a lot of people moved away that didn't need transportation. Houses were still under construction. Stores had closed and weren't reopened. And then a lot changed after the pandemic too. So the first time I was with my sisters, we were trying to go to Lynbrook to the movie theater, and I said, my sister said, here's $5. It should be, I don't know, it was like $3.75 at the time to go from Island Park to Lynbrook. She's like, it should be $3.75. You should get like $1.25, or how much you should get back. And then she would ask me, and I'd tell her. So I go, and I'm like, one ticket to Lynbrook, and the guy was like, $12.75. I was like, what? Or something. It wasn't $12.75, but it was like 7 and change. I was like, what? My sister told me it'd be $5 to go to Lynbrook. You go, oh, Lynbrook. I thought you said Brooklyn. Dude, you trying to kidnap me? You trying to leave me on that train till I got to Brooklyn? Come on now. What are you working on? Commission? Ticket sales? What's going on? Just kidding. But I was like, you see the panic on my face, like, what? My sister said it would only be $3.75 to go to Lynbrook. He's like, oh, Lynbrook. I thought you said Brooklyn. First of all, Brooklyn isn't a train stop. So why are you telling me you taking me to Brooklyn? Unless you're busting my chops because you're teasing me. Maybe you was teasing me because I was little. Did I just catch on to that? Was that like a 43-year joke, like too late? The one time my sister went to take me to the movies by bus. She was so sweet. I know now. At the time, I appreciated it. I did. I know now in the grand scheme of things how actually truly special it was that she wanted to take time to spend time with me. She has always done truly special things like that over the years as well. But we got on the bus to go to Lynbrook to the movie theater, and there was a train accident, and they had rerouted the bus tour. They were not going to that area because of there was like an accident or whatever. So we ended up having to like walk up to the Oceanside movie theater. So instead of seeing the Muppet movie, we saw the In-Laws. But we still had a fantastic time. She took me I feel like we got ice cream, but I can't imagine where. Where would we have gotten ice cream? I wonder if she walked me to Carvel. Oh, Baskin Robbins was right there. Never mind, Baskin Robbins is right there. So I think that's what we did. We ended up walking to Baskin Robbins. I mean, it's not right there, but it's close. It's within walking distance for a teenager and a child and an 8 or 9 year old. If I was 8, my sister was 13. If I was 9, my sister was 14. If I was 7, my sister was 12. And the Muppet movie came out in like 77. So I have no idea when she took me. I mean, in New York State, when you're 12, you can be responsible for anybody under the age of 8 or 8 or under. When you're 8, you're responsible for yourself. And that's now. I can't imagine what it was in the 70s. But I'll ask her. I could have been 10 and she was 15, but I think I would have remembered it better if I was 10. You know what I can find out? Hold on a second. Alexa, what year did the movie The In-Laws come out?
The film The In-Laws was released about 42 years ago on June 15th, 1979.
So 1979. Alexa, what Muppet movie was released in 1979?
Here's something I found on the web. According to Movies.com, Pause was released in 1979, when the first Muppet film was released.
Oh, the first Muppet film. Okay. So it was the Muppet movie. It was in 1979. So I was 9 and she was 14. We just answered all those questions, didn't we? Yes. But it was very, like, and could you imagine? It was very, very sweet of her. I feel like it was babysitting money. Like, I don't even know if my mom gave her money. I feel like it was her treat. It was just very special. And here's what was special. What did she just say? 42 years ago? I still remember it. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, even watching the crazy movie that at a 9-year-old, I was like, did I get that movie? It had some slapstick in it, so it was funny. But I could tell you, it was the In-Laws with Peter Falk and Alan. Oh, maybe I can't remember. Alan Arkin. That's how you say his name, right? Yeah, Alan Arkin. I think that's it. They should remake that movie. Maybe they have, and I don't even know it. I don't even. Maybe they did. Anyway. So anyway, that's a good story. That I have absolutely no idea how I got to. How did I get to that story? Public transportation? Clubbing? No? Maybe? Don't know. Taking the train. We were clubbing. Doing my hair. Taking the train. I can't remember. It is so bad. And it's only getting worse. The more I'm on the medication, the worse it's getting. I have an MRI on my brain on Tuesday. And now I'm going to get my infusion on Tuesday as well. And then Tuesday night, we're going to head to the city. We got a hotel room. That is like a suite. So this way we have to be early, or be at the hospital early on Wednesday. So I do have to call Aunt Sue back in a little while when she wakes up to talk to her about the plans, because plans have changed. Originally, I didn't know I was having a procedure on Wednesday. So I'll tell you what I found out yesterday. The nurse called me and she said, it's funny because she said a lot of things she thought she had told me. She said, you remember how we talked about the kidney tumor being a bloody tumor? Sure. She said the renal carcinoma is famous for being blood-filled, like a very bloody tumor. So they're doing a procedure on Wednesday. I'm gonna have my appointments in the morning, and they're gonna admit me, and they're gonna do a procedure that I cannot remember the name of it. And I'm sure if I asked my doctor friend, she would tell me in a second. But it sounded like the word embolism, like emboli or something, where the radiologist is going to go in and basically cut off the blood supply to the tumor so that the doctor can do surgery without having to worry about bleed out. She said, don't worry, it won't cut off the circulation in your leg. It won't affect the circulation. It's just directly to whatever's feeding the tumor. It's directly going to cut that blood off. So, yay. That being said, I won't lie and tell you that this particular thing makes me nervous. But, you know, originally I was thinking like, they're like, oh, we're just going to put a pin in to support it. And I'm thinking, good, pin in, I could start walking and dancing. No, this is like a major surgery. They're going to cut open my leg. They're going to possibly put a piece of plate over my leg. And then I have to go like physical therapy and everything, which is fine. It'll just push back my recovery and dancing time. It'll push back my trips to the Dollar Tree. It's fine. It's a test in patience. Yeah. I actually was talking to one of the ladies on the phone, and we were talking about patience. And I said, take your time. I have all the patience in the world. And she said, I can't take my time because we have all the patience in the world. I think that's probably a medical joke. But she's like, you really do have a really good attitude. And I was like, thanks. I guess it's not the same, but there is a lot of awareness being brought to terms that I always felt were totally benign. That people, I don't want to say people get easily offended, but there are things that probably should have been offensive or could have been taken offensively or should have been taken offensively that we just, our generation just rolled right on by. Like, I was always offended by, you have such a pretty face. Thank you. What's the rest of your statement? Yeah. So what the thing that's actually that's very offensive to big women these days, or what I'm finding out now is, and this is not to say that anybody who's ever said this to me has offended me, because you haven't. It's just to teach you about like how younger plus size people are receiving this information. But if you're also a plus size person who has confidence, this might affect you too. You're like, oh, I just love your confidence. It is a backhanded compliment, what we like to call those. Because, yeah, thanks, you love them. I mean, that's great, but you're almost implying I shouldn't be confident. So why shouldn't I be confident? And that's the thing. So the thing is like, because being plus size, being fat, being morbidly obese, if you want to put it in a medical term, being obese or morbidly obese has such a social stigma to it of not being as accepted or not being the beauty standard, which is funny because we go back and I've learned in art history that the beauty standard that we have today was only less than 100 years old, or just about 100 years old. It was about, well, almost about 90 years old. Because when the flappers hit, just in like the beginning 20s, mid 20s, I think, the roaring 20s, that's when thin became in. Otherwise, the ample female was viewed as being more fertile. And obviously, today's day and age, I'm sure that stress plays more of a part of it when society is telling you how fat and unhealthy you are, that you can't have babies. Because if you think about it, your body wants to put on weight to have babies. Your body wants to, the natural evolution, if you didn't do anything different, you wouldn't lose those pounds right after you had a baby without extra work. So I think that the biology of it, probably your body is wanting to just be in your childbearing years of holding on to all that weight. But that being said, life expectancy was also not that great. And we know now, we're smarter now, we know things. But the beauty standards is what we're talking about. We're not talking about being healthy. We're talking about beauty standards. So I do follow this woman. She's in Canada. She's had, it's her pregnancy journey. She's had in vitro fertilization because she has polycystic ovarian syndrome and very unlikely for her to get pregnant by herself. So they tried all of the different routes up to IVF. She eats so healthy and she still can't lose weight, because when you have PCOS, your body's not only ability to put on the weight, but your body's inability to lose weight becomes extremely difficult when you have PCOS. Now, do I have PCOS? People have asked me lots of times before. I don't know. I had a very lousy bunch of gynecologists over the years. And I'll tell you that because of things that they've said to me. When I tried to have, I went to one of them about infertility. And she was like, well, you're going to have to lose like 200 pounds. And I'm like, wow, that's how you talk to me about my infertility treatments? Or you don't even go and test my husband? You just assume because I have irregular periods that I'm the reason we're not getting pregnant. Like this was, and I didn't realize this until way later. I just was like, oh. So I went and I looked at, like, talked to a gastric, a gastric bypass doctor. And when I sat down with all of their meetings, and I was like, Medifast? You need me to do Medifast for 10 weeks? And I was like, $150 a week? I was like, if I had $1,500, I'd be eating salad all the time. Like, I don't have that kind of money. And that was, like, not covered by medical costs. Like, the infertility treatments were. The gastric bypass was. But the extras like that weren't. And it wasn't just the option, now I know, to go on a liquid diet or a low-carb diet, because that wasn't what was told to me. It was specifically that I had to do Medifast for 10 weeks at $150 a week. So I was like, okay. I don't got that kind of money. But the real kicker for why I didn't do it is I sat down with a nurse practitioner who was like the behavioral nurse practitioner. And she said, well, we talk about behavior modification, and basically so you don't gain the weight back. She said, but are you married? And I said, oh, yes, I've been married. At the time, I was married for about a year. So I was like, oh, I've been married for about a year. And she's like, are you happy? And I was like, oh, very much. And she's like, well, you'll get a divorce. I said, excuse me? She said, yeah, it's kind of the thing that you'll get a divorce. And now I realize again, after the fact, what she was saying was women who get married to their husbands who like them fat, when they have no confidence in themselves and their relationships, wander. Like a lot of people who are plus size, or they feel that a lot of people who are plus size settle for their husband, their spouse. They settle on the person that doesn't, just accepts them or takes them for what they are. And I'm like, well, that wasn't the case with me and my husband. I fell in love with him before I looked at him. He fell in love with me before he looked at me. Excuse me. The other stuff was just bonus type of material, I had a lot of, this is a side note, I had a lot of celebrity crushes when I was younger. But one of them was Donnie Wahlberg. And there's a TikTok trend that says, show your celebrity crush and then show the person you married and how, like, similar they look. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't go far. Now, I didn't marry Rob Lowe's lookalike because he was my other celebrity crush, but I take what I can get. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, so they're like, you'll get a divorce. I was like, oh, that's encouraging. That's how you sell this life-changing, altering thing to people, right? So, between that and the money and the time off I would need from work and everything, then I had friends who had it and got married, wanted to have kids, and they ended up being high-risk pregnancies anyway. Can somebody please explain that to me in the medical world? Why you will help somebody who's at a high risk, who's had gastric bypass, who then has a high-risk pregnancy because of the gastric bypass and their fact that they can't nourish their baby as well type of situation. That's a risk you're willing to take, but helping an obese person get pregnant who might get gestational diabetes, but there's no guarantee that skinny people don't get that either, who might have other complications, but again, no guarantees that skinny people won't have complications either. Why is that too risky? I actually said to my cousin at the time, because I was 400 pounds at the time, because I was super depressed, that she told me I couldn't have a baby. When my fertility treatments, not fertility, but when I started talking about infertility with my gynecologist, I just started packing on the pounds. She was talking about having to lose 200 pounds. I was like, the last time I was 215 pounds, I was in 7th grade. You want me to get down to my 12-year-old weight? Is that what you're telling me? And yeah, that's what she was telling me. So I had said to my cousin, I said, you know, if I was 400 pounds and I got pregnant, I'd still be high risk and she would help me have a healthy pregnancy. So why won't she help me get pregnant? And I guess that it's sort of like a CYA. It's a CYA situation. Oh.
This is a reminder. Take my meds.
I just got a notification that looked very weird, so I was just eyeballing it. But... Meds, where are you? You fall down? Did you fall down? You did. You fall down. Don't fall down. There you go. This Miracle mouthwash is no joke, but you can't feel anything. I was like, one day I'm going to bite my tongue. Got my new pill box just in time to not have the chemotherapy pill for 10 days. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Anyway, it was very frustrating, as you can imagine. But I turned it over to God. I stopped taking birth control. We didn't practice any form of birth control. There were a couple of times where I felt like we had a near miss, but never got a fully darkened line. And then, excuse me, they would say try again in a couple of days, and you would look and I get my period in a couple of days. So, excuse me. So, yeah, you know, but I did. I turned it over to God and I said, listen, if it's your plan that this is our plan, then go ahead, and I'm going to do everything that in my power I can. I lost a bunch of weight from that point. I think I lost went from 215 over the course of 2 years. I went from 215 to 315. Was it 2 years? Was it 4 years? I mean 315, I'm sorry. I went from 415 to 315. 415 was the highest I've ever weighed. That was the most I've ever weighed in my entire life, and that's when I knew that I had to make changes. When I went to go to the doctor, this is the first time I couldn't hold the cup when I had to pee. Yep, yes ma'am. Yeah, that was not good. Let's see. Ooh. Sorry, that just got all stuck up here. Oh, Julie said how cute it looks with a bow. With a headband. I wanted to show you how cute it looks with a headband. Yes. It does, right? Anyway. I had lost 100 pounds in 2 years. Got down to 319. And stayed at 319 for a long time. Until... Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you too. Until my dad got sick. Until my dad got sick, and then I got up to like, but I was approaching 40. So that 38 to 40 age, I started to like steadily start to, you know, gain. I used to do like a 10-pound fluctuation from the summer to the winter. I still do. But at that time, it was like 20 pounds in the winter, 10 pounds in the summer. 20 pounds in the winter, 10 pounds in the summer. And eventually I got up to like where 350 was the range that I'm going to live the rest of my life in. And that I have been until cancer. Well, not until cancer, until cancer treatment. Until hip pain. That's really what it was. So we'll see. The way to stay positive during all of these is to think, when we say prepare for the worst and hope for the best, excuse me. Does anybody else yawn after they cough? Because it's like too much carbon dioxide? No? Okay. Just me? All right. when we say prepare for the worst and hope for the best, preparing for the worst is saying they may have to cut my leg off. You know, and then I was going, well, if they have to cut my leg off from the knee down, if they have to cut my leg off like half my femur, then if they have to cut my leg off like, because my hip is bad too, well, they just take the whole leg. And that's where I was living. I was living in a, oh, this might happen. You know, this is the scenario that might be my worst case scenario. My worst case scenario is that I would die, obviously. But, you know, this is the next worst case scenario. So when you find out that there's things that they can do to help it and that you'll be able to keep your leg, well, then of course you're going to be in a good mood. And when you find out it's stage 4 and it's incurable, then you find out it's treatable. You're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can beat the statistics. Maybe I can beat the odds. Maybe I can be that 1 in a million person that comes through bright and shiny on the other end type of thing. So, you know, it's just that's the way it is right now. And it's easy to have a positive attitude when you have hope. And happiness and hope are both inside jobs. They really are. It's your decision to make. If you decide that this is going to be the worst thing that ever happened to you, or can I learn from it? And this is coming from a person who has felt this way their whole life, but had a very devastating thing happen to them. Last year, my brother passing was devastating to me. There was so many questions. There was so much sadness. There was so much loss. There was so much unknown. You know, just unknown. And whether or not I'll ever know it, it's not important. That's what I'm finding out. That's not important. Why isn't important? I had 30 and a half years of great memories. Actually, more like 30 years and 11 months. 30 years and 10 months and 15 days of great memories. And those were what I'll hold on to. And when I hear stories of a time after we stopped talking, I will be like, oh, I've just listened to them like I don't know the person, because I felt like listening to everybody's stories that he became somebody I don't know, which is fine, and that's okay if that's the journey he was meant to take. But when I hear things or see pictures, and I do like wonder, he changed so drastically in his appearance that I wonder, like, was he hurting in a way that I just didn't know? You know, and my sister said she doesn't believe that he didn't talk to me anymore because he missed me or felt abandoned or felt hurt. But he changed so much. His physical appearance after I left changed so much that it was like, I don't think I know that person. And when I hear stories, I listen to stories like they're a new person that I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll hear a story that'll get me upset because it'll reflect back to a time. So when I hear like, oh, he did this for me. Do you remember when he did that back when he was like 15? And I'll be like, oh, okay. And now it's relating. Now it's you're telling me that the person that we're talking about that I'm thinking about is a different person. You're telling me it is the person that I actually know. So it's like, yeah, he didn't change that part of him or whatever, kind of thing. So it's just, it is what it is. It's all I could do. All I could do every day is just to think about, he's in a better place. He's not sick anymore. He can drink all he wants. He can dance all he wants. He can eat whatever he wants. He can compute away or play video games in heaven till all hours of the morning, whatever he wants to do. He's with my parents again, which is just such a blessing. He only got to know my mother for a third of his life, or actually not even, like, really a fourth of his life at that point when he passed. So, I'm okay with it, Will I be saddened that we will never reconcile? Yes. Am I sad that he'll never come to my home? Yes. Am I sad that he won't have a future with a wife and kids? Yes. But he also told me when he was a lot younger, before I stopped talking to him, that he didn't see that for him anyway. He didn't want to have a wife and kids. So it was easy for me to not be sad about that anymore. There wasn't something he saw for his future, The rest of it is, good times and laughs and his caring nature and his generosity and that kind of stuff, Like, I just have to think about that and focus on that. So it's easy for me to say, to have hope, because I've had hope and I lost hope, but then I found hope again. And that's really why hope can be found in the darkest places. And I know that I'm about to quote Harry Potter, but he says, well, I won't quote Harry Potter, never mind. Hope can be found in the darkest places if you just look for the light. And I don't want to get spiritual or religious on anybody, but the light for me is in Jesus. He is the light of my life. And that's really how I can have the hope that I have, and that I can have the positive outlook on life that I have, because I know whose I am, and I know where I will go eternally. Like we were talking about, I said to my husband, I said, I'm not trying to get morbid on you. Obviously, I'm not going anywhere now. I have a long life left ahead of me, and I've got a lot of life left to live with you. I said, but I want you to know that I don't have a specific, whatever you want to do with my body, I won't be there. So do what you need to do what you can afford to do. I was like, if you want to donate my body to science fiction, I'm just kidding. If you want to donate my body to science, because it won't cost you anything, do it, please. I was like, but if I'm fine with it. Just know that I'm not in it anymore. I'm not using it anymore. So you can have it, because that's the truth for me. People want to, we wanted to be respectful of it. And I understand doing it for the family to have closure. I do. But I've also told my family too, that this is what I told them to tell him to do whatever he wants. I said, if you want to have like a memorial service, or I said, do you want to like, go to New York and have a big party? I'm okay with whatever you want to do. But as far as my body's concerned, I ain't in there anymore. So have at it. So yeah. But that's how I can have hope. I can have hope because I know whose I am, and I know where I'll be, and where I'm spending eternity. And that's how I do it. So today's vlog was kind of like everywhere and nowhere. Just a bunch of story times from my past. I don't even know, again, how we got to the train and the movies with my sister. I feel like when I go to edit it, I'll be like, oh, yeah. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'm editing and I go, let me jump back on and say, oh, this was the rest of that story. This was the point I was trying to make, but I don't. So, sorry about that. Sometimes I remember for tomorrow's vlog, like I'll be like, ooh, hey, guess what? But, that's it. So listen, I want to tell you that if nobody else has told you today that you are loved, that I love you. And I'm so appreciative and grateful for every single one of you. Oh, I got a P.O. box. That's it. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So now, James or Jeri-Ann Henson, P.O. Box 94, Rolla, Missouri, 65401. We're official. So if you feel like you want to send me friend mail or cards and you want it to stay private and you don't want to put your return address on it or whatever it is, you absolutely 100% can do that. Drop me whatever. Drop me a line, drop me a note, a postcard, a sticky note, whatever you need to do. But I am very excited that we were able to do that. And I'm glad that it cost a lot less than I thought it was going to. So that's great. It's actually more in my budget than I anticipated. So I'm very grateful for that. All right, that's it. I love you guys. And if you have any questions, you know how to leave them in the comments. And we'll try to do whatever comments we can. And it's really hard, but it's easy. But I'm trying and I don't know what to do. And blah, 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 blah. Why do you love me? Because of the cute haircut. I know. And as always, you guys take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye.